What's up, guys? It's your buddy Nate here with the OMFL. Thank you so much again for applying. If you've watched any of these videos, we're on the last one, so you're almost finished with your quiz, and hopefully this has helped a little bit. I'm not going to rehash the stuff that I rehashed in the other videos. Go back and check those out if you want. Let's just jump right into this thing and get it done. Let's look at the FPR for off-season players, that sort of thing. We call this the player FPR. Here are the 4 questions that you're going to have to answer on your quiz. How do trades work in the OMFL? How do contract re-signings work in the OMFL? How can who can play cornerback in the OMFL? And what are the next steps following the quiz? Let's go ahead and reverse engineer this. So as you fill out this quiz, you need to put your information, your PSN, your Daddy League name. You have to have one of those. Your Twitch or YouTube, whichever one that you use a majority of. You want to keep that in there so that I can have it. As soon as you submit this quiz, you need to tell Nate, I will go and actually approve it. After I approve it, you will have to play Houday. Houday is one of our board members who will get you on voice chat, talk to you a little bit, and play a game with you and give you some feedback about your game. After you've had both of those approved, we'll then offer you a team here. If neither one of those get approved or if there's a mistake there, then we'll talk with you and we'll work our way through that. So let's just go ahead and hop in here and start talking about the fair play regulations that come with the offseason and players. Here are trades. An owner must be in this league for 4 advances, not 4 weeks, just 4 advances before you're allowed to trade. This includes the initial season of any new Madden. And the reason we do this is because we want to make sure that you're actually committed here, that your gameplay is going to work and that things are going to flow before we start allowing you to overhaul your team and make some serious changes. Teams that are allowed to trade any combination of 2 players or picks. So you get 2 things, 2 players, 2 picks, or any combination, 1 player, 1 pick, any of that. They must be 80 overall or above, or rounds 1 through 3. This resets every offseason, and it does not count what you can earn in the incentive award or other awards that we hand out. You can earn extra trade pieces through those other incentives that we have. The trades can be used all the way up to the trade deadline and do not roll over into the following years. And so you do not get to add up all of your trade pieces and save them to use in a season. Players rated 79 or lower, or picks rounds 4 through 7, can be traded freely and not count against your total of 2 that we just spoke about. So you can trade as many 79 or lower or rounds 4 through 7 as you want, and they do not count towards that total. This allows you to move the bottom end of your roster while keeping the top end of our rosters pretty set and secure, which is pretty realistic. The league also retains the option to decline any trades with key players, or really any players which we feel like hurt a team or hurt the league if you leave. We also reserve the right to overturn any major trades that we feel like have to. Owners come and go, but the league is here to stay, and we must protect its integrity. Future draft picks can be traded, but only for the next offseason. You can only trade 2 of those picks away, and none of them can be first-round picks. We're trying to avoid guys from dealing their first-round picks, disappearing, and then the new owner doesn't even have a first-round pick. Teams can acquire up to 12 draft picks per draft. A player drafted cannot be traded in their rookie year, but can be traded after that rookie year. A player who signed as a free agent to your team may not be traded the year that they signed a free agent contract, but may be traded the year after. If you sign someone else's practice squad player, you may not trade them. They must stay on your team until the next offseason. If you receive a player in a trade, they must stay on your team for that season and may not be traded until the next offseason. You must use the draft calculator. We have a draft calculator that is linked right here. This has been created using the EA tools that help show us how a player's overall is made. It is not perfect, but it is a really good tool that has been created for us. It allows for 5% difference in numbers, but if the trade calculator passes a trade, then it is allowed to be processed, posted. we will double check your numbers, and then we will allow you to make the trade. Again, it is not a perfect tool, and so we reserve the right to decline trades. You're not allowed to go and start piling up a bunch of lower rated players and offer some 10 for 1 type of deal, or 4 for 1, or 3 for 2, or anything like that, just to trick the calculator. If we see it, we will change it. So this link will bring you to the spreadsheet, the draft calculator. We have a whole video that actually shows you how to use this draft calculator. You should download it. It shows you exactly how to download it, how to use it, and then start to plug in the different things that you need to plug in. Your team is at the top, their team is at the bottom, and then right in the middle, it will actually show you who I don't know why I did that. I apologize. That's what we get for for being live. It's saying that it's in the trash. But anyway, we'll figure all that out. Make sure that you use the calculator. It will be up there. It's being tweaked for Madden 18, but we will use the same calculator to test to make sure that it's done correctly. Here's how you post your trade. Shows you exactly how it must be posted. We try not to be super sticklers about this, but it has to be done the right way, or it just causes mass chaos. In-season free agency and practice squad. Up front, practice squad stealing is shut off weeks 1 through 4. This allows teams to find out who they have and who they don't have. It allows for any early injuries. There we go. But after week 4, you can then begin to steal people's practice squad player. If you do that, you must follow the system, which includes you telling that owner in a PM that you have applied to steal their player. They then have 24 hours to decide if they want to sign that player to their 53, which they have a right to do, or if they want to let that player walk. If your player is being stolen, after you make that decision, you should post and say if you're going to let that player walk or if you're going to sign them. All teams are allowed to sign 5 players per advance. You're required to hit the league minimum of positions and total players of 53. All bids in the OMFL must be increased by a minimum of $500K per bid. We have a blind bidding system, so it's not nearly as much of an issue anymore, and that could actually be removed. Here's the Google form that shows you exactly how to sign a free agent. You just put in the team, the position, the player, the amount that you're offered. That gets submitted. 24 hours, the board member turns it around, tells you exactly who won the bid and who gets to sign the player. You can view your bids here. That needs to be changed, but there is a sheet that shows you exactly who's been bid on and what bids that you've made. But make sure that it is your responsibility to care for your own team cap space. An owner, again, who puts in for a practice squad must let the other guy know so that they know exactly that their practice squad player is being bid on. If 2 players put a bid in for a practice squad player to a free agent to come be a part of their practice squad, it then goes by waiver wire, which is updated every couple of weeks, and goes by the draft order during the offseason. The lower ranked teams or lower record teams gets the higher waiver order, and those teams get those bids over lower ranked teams. If 5 teams bid on a player for the 53-man roster, the highest bid wins. If 2 teams bid the same amount, then the team with the highest waiver order will win the player's rights. If you feel like the other team has made a higher bid, then you are allowed to place another bid once the time is up. But once a player's time is up, it is over and we will award it. So again, that is the sheets that show you exactly how the bidding process goes here and all that fun stuff. The first bids will close every 12 hours. We try our very best to hold to that. Roster minimums is 53 players. You must have 3 halfbacks, 4 wide receivers minimum, 4 cornerbacks minimum, 4 safeties minimum, any combination of free or strong, 8 offensive linemen minimum, 1 fullback minimum, and 2 tight ends. I know with the new Maddens, fullback is not a required position anymore, but we do require one here in the OMFL. This is how you sign your players. who are up to be re-signs before they go into free agency, or if you're bidding on a player with the in-game free agent system. You are only allowed to offer 1, 2, 3, or 4-year deals. No 5, 6, or 7-year deals, with one exception that we'll get to. We do this because 5, 6, 7-year deals, we'd never see any free agency, and we want a free agency. There is a flaw in Madden 17 that we're not sure about Madden 18, so make sure you check this for updates. In Madden 17, if a player is on your team who's up for contract is asking for a 5, 6, or 7-year deal, they will not accept anything less. And so because of that, we've had to figure out a system. If you have 3 of those guys or more, so 3 guys who are asking for 5 or more years, we allow you to have 1 5-year contract. So one of those guys you're allowed to sign to a 5-year contract. We will then edit that 5-year contract down to 4 years. Same amount of money, so you're going to have to pay a little bit more for that player, but we're going to edit it down to 4 years only. Not an average of the 5, 4 years, plain and simple, for the 5-year money. The other players must be franchised or they must be allowed to walk. If you have less than 3, then you must franchise them or you must let them walk. If you let them walk, or if a player is asking too much money, once you get into free agency, you are allowed to pursue them. Again, bonuses must be 25% of the salary being offered or more, but 25% is the minimum. So on a $1 million deal, that would be $250K. $25 million, a $5 million bonus. In the in-season or in the off-season period, in-game free agency, we use the in-game system. If a player has a bid on him already, you must raise that bid by 3 points. So there is a point system. If you want to bid on a player that already has a bid, the minimum raise is a 3-point raise. Get there however you want to. 1, 2, or 3-year, 4-year contracts only. In rounds 1 of 2, 1 and 2, you're only allowed to not use 1-year contracts. So let me say that again. I said it confusing. I apologize. In round 1 and 2 of the free agency period, you are only able to use 2, 3, or 4-year contracts. No 1-year deals may be offered in rounds 1 or 2. If you released a player, this is not a player whose contract was up, this is a player that you released, you are not allowed to bid on them until round 3, the last round of free agency. The minimum increase again is 3 points per bid in all the rounds. Minimum bonus again is 25%. In the last round, you are then allowed to put 1-year deals in on players. If a player does not have a bid, and they're not a player that you released, you're allowed to just place a bid in the system, in the game, however you want. There must be a 25% bonus. There are no offers that you can ever do in the OMFL that has 0 bonus. You must offer 25% in a bonus. All players cut from teams in week 14, 15, 16, and 17 are locked. They may not be signed by anyone. All practice squads will be locked from weeks 1 through 4 and then weeks 15 through 17. So you're not allowed to steal practice squad players after week 15 or before week 4. No team is allowed more than $12 million, I'm sorry, $12.5, I need to change that, $1 million in cap penalties in a single year. Any cut or trade that puts you over the $12.5 million limit will be voided, and you will have a player suspended for 1 game. Major violations of this will bring you up for immediate removal from the league. If you trade for players or anything like that, we're going to make you redo the trades. If you earn a cap penalty reset, which you can't earn through Platinum or through one of the incentives, you're only allowed to use that 1 time per entire Madden. So you're only allowed to use that 1 time in Madden 18. When you use it, so when your cap penalty is cleared to 0, you then now have a soft cap of $2 million that you cannot go over until the off-season starts. Case in point, the example would be that I have 12.5. I use my cap clearance one time, I go to 0, and then now I have the freedom to go back to 12.5. So now I'm freeing $25 million up in my cap room, which allows me to go into free agency with more money. That is not allowed. When you clear your cap down to 0, you're not allowed to go above $2 million until the next off season. And so if you do this during the season, you have to go through the entire off season with just $2 million in penalties that you can earn. If you do this in the off season, then you have to go through the entire season with only $2 million in penalties. When the following off season happens, from when you used your cap clearance penalty, you are then back to the 12.5, and you'll be at the 12.5 for the rest of that Madden. Again, we're just trying to avoid teams from cutting $25 million of cap so that they go into the off season with a whole bunch of money, and then they sign a bunch of one-year deals, and so they go into every offseason with a ton of money, and they're able to sign any player that they want because they just have way more money than everybody else. That happens. That's what we're trying to avoid, and that's why these rules are here. If you have questions, if you're confused, please tag us. We'll help you through it. Advances through free agency will come on a random basis. That is done by me. I let one board member know exactly when I am. That holds me accountable. I'm not sniping players, but we do this so no one can snipe players. Any player cut from a team may not be bid on by that same team until round 3. If they walk again because their contract was up or they refuse to sign with you, then they're free game and you can do it. You're not allowed to find loopholes. No system is perfect. I don't want a billion different rules. We're not looking for you to find loopholes so that every offseason you have $30 to $80 million in cap space and go into it able to sign anyone that you want. That's going to be an issue. Draft night goes up for a vote. We pick the night that works the best for as many people as we can. If you're not able to make the draft, you are allowed to trade out of the draft and get rid of your picks and get something for them. But with the new draft boards, that should be less and less of an issue. You should be able to set your draft board and the computer will draft from it. Draft day picks are allowed, but after rounds 4. So rounds 5, 6, and 7, you're allowed to make a draft day trade. No post, no approval. Just make it happen. Position changes. A player can be placed on the depth chart for the position that's listed below only. If you're found using a player in a way that is not listed here, you could be terminated with your ownership or have a player suspended. Quarterbacks can only play quarterback. Halfback can only play halfback or receiver. If they play receiver, they can only play third receiver or less. A fullback can play fullback, tight end, or halfback. A tight end can play tight end or fullback. If they play fullback, they must have 80 speed or lower. A wide receiver can play receiver or tight end. If they play tight end, they must have 80 speed or lower. Offensive line are completely interchangeable. Defensive end can play defensive end, defensive tackle, or even outside linebacker. A defensive tackle can play defensive line anywhere, defensive end or tackle. An outside linebacker can play outside, they can play middle linebacker, or they can play defensive end. A middle linebacker can play out, or they can play middle. A cornerback can play safety or strong safety or cornerback. If they play safety or strong safety, they must have 90 speed or lower. A free safety can play strong safety or cornerback. A strong safety can play free safety or cornerback. Kickers and punters are interchangeable. They can play no one else. Any other position change is not listed above. It's not allowed, even in formation subs. Now, if the formation automatically moves somebody in a weird position, we can have that discussion, but you cannot formation sub someone in. When you join the league again, you must create a new coach. Everyone starts out at level 0 and works their way up. Confidence resets going into week 1, during your bye week, and going into free agency week 1. We do those automatically for you. If you want it done during your bye week, you must post that you want it done. If you earn a separate reset and you want it done, you must post that you want that done, and we'll do that for you. Incentive points and incentive plan, I should say. So points are earned either through platinum ownership here or through our seasonal goals that reset every season, which is gold, silver, and bronze. You can get all those details here, and you need to do that. Some of our incentive plans can be a little confusing, but after you grasp it, you'll get it. You can max acquire 7 points, period, at any time. And you can add those points. So as you become a platinum ownership, which we'll talk about, you get 4 XP points that you can use anywhere. If you earn the gold, silver, or bronze throughout the season, you get 3, 2, or 1. You can use those anywhere that you want outside of the untouchable list that we'll talk about in a second. You may not save these points up and use all at one time on one player. A max of 3 points can be used on one player per season. So if you're in a season, you can only use up to 3 points on one player. You can use 3 in one season, and you can use 3 more the next season, and 3 more the next season. I don't care, but you can only use up to 3 for one season. These incentive points have to be used in the season that they're earned. You're not allowed to save them up and then come in the last season or the season before and have 50 points to put wherever you want. Platinum ownership resets at the start of every new Madden. We've already started that. You're not allowed to have more than 1 platinum ownership per Madden cycle, but you are allowed to donate as much as you want. Gold through bronze awards are earned and have to be done by you and submitted by you to show what you have earned, and then it is okayed by Houday, who then awards those ownerships. Any attributes that are adjusted may only go to 90. After you adjust an attribute to 90, you may not go above. And so if a player is at 90 already, I may not add any more XP to that player. Speed can never be worked on, either through incentive points or through in-game XP earned. A player is what they are when they enter this league, and as they go down, the game will cap them where they need to cap them, but they are not. That is an attribute that at no time, at any time in this league, you're able to work on. If you're found to, we will suspend players or even terminate your ownership. Acceleration can never be improved. We will allow you to use XP to maintain. So if your acceleration begins to drop, we will allow you to use your XP in-game or in incentive to put it back to where it was. Same thing with agility. Can never be improved. It can be maintained. Throwing power, same thing. It can be improved. It can be maintained. It can never be improved. A player is what they are. Jump can never be worked on. It can in-game or incentive can never be used to increase a player's jump. Kick power can never be improved. Jumped, kick power, speed, players are what they are when they enter the league, and when they go down, they are what they are. Again, in our efforts to grow as a community, it costs money to do these things. So, you are allowed to donate, which makes you a platinum ownership. There is no set amount. You're allowed to do that at any time, and as soon as you get it, we give you the award, and you're moved into those chats, and you're moved into those special things. This does not tie you to us. We give every owner multiple chances and opportunities to change and work on gameplay, but if at the end of the day we feel like we need to part ways, it does not matter what you've donated to this league, we will part ways. Again, those season stats are capped. We've already talked about that, but those cannot be helped, increased, or changed with in-game XP or with incentive awards that have been earned. That is what is there. Players are what they are outside of the disclaimers that we have listed. So that's it. That brings you through all of the FPR here. You should be able to do your quiz and get your gameplay approved. I'm also going to shoot this out to any new owners or any owners that are here because we have had some changes. At the end of every Madden season, owners are able to reply to a post that we make, which gives you the opportunity to give us suggestions of things that you would like to see changed. We vote on them as a board, and we let you know what those things are. We also give you a position change guide at the end of every season. So if there's a player who you'd like to move into a new position that is not allowed in the positions that we've discussed, you're allowed to give your case as to why we should allow that player to switch. Most cases, you'll see that linebacker to safety, safety to linebacker. But again, you have to prove to us why we should allow that, and it isn't allowed at all times. So, Make sure that you read through all these rules in case I've missed something or in case this video is out of date, but that should be all that you need. Thank you for checking us out. We'll see you on the field.